Wait, guys. Look who it is. How's we doing here?
Is that? That can't be. That's a Switchblade, Jay White! Oh my God! Jay White! Are you kidding me? From New Japan Pro Wrestling has walked through the forbidden door!
Nice series.
Jay White in AEW.
Listening to Talk AEW, the official wrestling podcast of GoombaStomp.com and TiltMagazine.net. I'm your co-host, Marika McDonald, joined, as always, by my co-host, Mr. Aaron Santos.
Good evening, Hausen.
And, of course, the editor-in-chief of GoombaStomp.com and TiltMagazine.net, the ravishing Ricky D.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. What's up, Danhausen? What's up, Sting? What's up, Darby Allin? What's up, CM Punk? What's up, MJF? What's up, Wardlow? What's up, Sean Spears? What's up, Private Party? What's up, Keith Lee? What's up, Britt Baker? And what's up, Adam Cole? And what's up, Jay White? But I'm not going to say what's up to Brandy Rhodes because she's still on my do not want to talk to her list.
Ouch.
Mm-hmm. It's a tough list to get out of, though, Brandy Rhodes, so you got to work hard.
I'm sure she's positively quaking.
Yeah.
In her boots. Her very, very, very expensive boots that I can't afford.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Ricky. I think you got some questions for us?
Not until you tell people what the main event
That's
is.
a good point. Today, on the main event on AEW, we are going to be discussing what actually makes a good episode of Dynamite. Because I feel like we got a pretty awesome episode of Dynamite, but then there were people whinging about it. So we're gonna try and sit down and figure out what people didn't like, why they didn't like it, and why we liked it so much, and why we're better than all of you. But first, I think Ricky has some questions.
That is right. It is time for the question block, the segment of the show in which I ask you listeners, well, really you two, the most important questions about AEW from the week, starting with question number 1. So, questions for Aaron. This is going to be a trick question.
Oh my gosh.
Who was right last week when predicting who the mystery guest would be to wrestle Isiah Kassidy?
Didn't we all... I know both of you said Keith Lee. I'm not taking sides in this situation. I didn't say... Did I say Keith Lee? I can't remember if I said Keith Lee. But both of you...
I'm not asking you to take sides
You said
between me and
Killer
Rico.
Cross.
I'm saying all three of us.
That's
well,
right.
I said I wanted to see Keith Lee, but I didn't trust Tony Khan. Now, from what I've heard, actually, is that we're all right because one Mr. Tony Khan didn't until sometime last week realize he had royally fucked up by using the term forbidden door and actually had to scramble on Sunday to secure Mr. Jay White to make an appearance.
Ah, you see? Okay.
Yeah, so Jay White was actually covering for his fuck up.
Mm-hmm.
Which the marks like us picked up on and spent half an hour talking about.
Yep.
Therefore, you are right, Mariko. We were all right and wrong equally. Because I said Keith Lee. Mariko said Jay White.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Tony Khan said the forbidden door. Now,
yes.
The forbidden door doesn't necessarily mean that the person has to be contracted and working for a different promotion.
Yes, it does, because that's why he got Jay White.
Yeah, that's why it's called a forbidden door, Rick, because it's from another promotion.
Even Tony Khan realized he fucked up when he said it, and so he had to book another person to cover up his fuck up. It's his own fuck up. He knows it. He knows what it means. I trust Tony this time.
The bleeps, my God.
You said Jay White, and I said Keith Lee versus Isiah Kassidy. So here's the thing.
Yes.
Now, this is very important. I acknowledge we're both right, but
But here it comes.
I know this is not me tapping myself on the back. It's like I really try to stressed this last week in defense of Mr. Tony Khan. What I said was, it was obvious to me it was Keith Lee because of the way Tony Khan was wording his statement.
Right?
He was using the word big. Now, and what I said last week was, for Tony Khan, who's such a diehard wrestling fan, any signing for him is considered big in his eyes.
Right.
When he was using the word big, he meant literally, like, the dude is big.
Well,
And that is what I was trying to tell everyone, including on Twitter, because people asked me a bunch of times over the past week on Twitter, who do you think it is? And I said Keith Lee because of the way he used the word big.
I don't well, here's the thing. I didn't listen to any interviews. I didn't hear anything. He might have emphasized the word big and I didn't hear it. It's just I'm in Moriko's corner here because he did mention the Forbidden Door, and what have we learned so far when he mentions the Forbidden Door? Most of the time it's NJPW wrestlers or Impact wrestlers.
So my second question, I think Mariko already jumped the gun, is what's your definition of the Forbidden Door when it comes to wrestling?
It works for another promotion, and Tony realized that that's also the definition, and so that he wouldn't get murdered on social media, he booked Jay White.
Well, that's all good. So my next question is, were you satisfied with the reveal of Keith Lee versus Isiah Kassidy, meaning he advances in the tournament to become the face of Revolution?
Hell yeah.
I don't think anyone's going to argue amongst the three of us that Keith Lee is such a great signing. I mean, the dude displayed like his
He was
power,
just yeeting Isiah Kassidy all over that damn ring.
Yeah, I mean, Isiah, that swing he threw Isiah, like when he threw Isiah Kassidy in the corner, I was like, that's a lot of air.
Yeah. You watch it in slow motion, you see Isiah Cassidy's face. He's like, oh, that's more air than I expected.
Yeah, exactly. Because like I'm watching that, I'm like, was some of that assisted from Isiah Kassidy? Like, did he get like a jump start or just...
My husband's watched it like 4 times already just today. Just that bit. And like, you know, Isiah gives him a little bit of an assist, but like he did not plan to go flying that far. Like he just went to orbit.
Yeah, he did. That was awesome though. So yeah, I mean, a great display of power and also some athletic moves that Keith Lee has been known to do.
Yeah, so. I was hoping we'd get a moonsault, but that probably would have been overkill.
Exactly. I think save it for like a really big spot.
Yeah. I well, definitely the finals for the Revolution match. So
yeah.
So that'll be really fun. That's a awesome thing to look forward to.
I don't care what anyone says on social media. I think Keith Lee was a big announcement. I started watching NXT because of Keith Lee and Adam Cole, and now those two dudes are in NXT.
Yeah.
So for me, this is huge. And look, when it comes to wrestlers who can maybe increase the ratings for AEW, meaning that people who normally watch WWE don't watch any wrestling promotions other than like Vince McMahon's wrestling promotions. Like for those people, maybe someone like CM Punk, you know, anyone like that won a championship in WWE, they can maybe get a few viewers to check in kind of like out of curiosity, right? And so I understand that in the main roster, Keith Lee they never really maximized him as a wrestler, as a personality, as a talent.
They tried. Well, Vince McMahon tried, because Vince McMahon wanted a certain prototype out of Keith Lee, and he just didn't have the tool set to do it. I mean, like we all know that Vince McMahon loves his big guy wrestlers, but he doesn't want to see them doing moonsaults. He wanted him to be just this power dude, which is so not Keith Lee.
Do you remember when Brock Lesnar was brand new to the WWE and he wrestled, was it Goldberg or The Rock, and he did a moonsault and he almost crippled himself because he landed on his neck?
I think that was was that Big Show?
No. It was Lesnar. I've watched it several times. I think it was a Shooting Star Press, but it was...
Yeah.
He almost decapitated himself. It was ugly.
I can't remember. I think it was against Goldberg.
Might have been Goldberg.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyhow, so look, I'm like super stoked that Keith Lee is in AEW, and I think they need more big men. And he's also really good on the microphone. He's got a ton of experience, and he's very charismatic.
Yeah.
So we shall see what happens. It was also nice to see Jay White make a cameo appearance, but like I said last week, I didn't think that he would actually wrestle Isiah Kassidy because therefore he wouldn't lose. He would have to continue in a tournament. And he's already wrestling for a different wrestling promotion. So making the cameo appearance is pretty cool. But here's my next question. There's a lot of people on social media, and I sent you guys a meme about this, where they are poking fun at Tony Khan, saying that TK is more interested in signing new wrestlers and having them
debut
for the first time on a wrestling show instead of, say, telling a good story. So do you think that, because the thing is, it is sort of like a strange time in wrestling where there's like a shit ton of wrestlers who have lost their jobs working for the competition.
Like, maybe, like, I think it is just kind of like a timing thing where we're just kind of spoiled for free agents.
Right, but my question is, do you think Tony Khan is maybe rushing things?
No. I don't think so. I mean, define rushing things. I mean, like just picking up wrestlers like as soon as they get fired. Like, I don't think so. I mean, first of all, he can't just pick up anyone he wants because of the no compete clause. But still, I mean, I think there's a he has the option to buy out the no compete clause if you really want to get that wrestler.
Well, because the thing is I see why people are not. It's not. I'm not saying that AEW fans are like whining on social media, although some do. But what I'm saying is that the conversation that's happening, especially on some of the Facebook fan group pages, is he's getting a lot of new wrestlers like Daniel Bryan, CM Punk, Keith Lee, Adam Cole, Bobby Fish. You name it. But how many of these actually are in the middle of a really good storyline, apart from CM Punk?
I mean, you make an interesting point. They're not involved in many storylines, but they are involved in. I guess they're orbiting around like storylines within the storyline, right? Because with Adam Cole, I mean, like the Bobby Fish, that storyline, I feel like it's still unraveling slowly.
It's still kind of simmering in the background.
Yeah.
I think the other thing is, like, I haven't been watching Dark or Elevation recently, so I don't even know like what storylines are happening there now that they have started having storylines there. So that might not be as much of an issue, but yeah, I mean, we are approaching a bit of roster bloat. I think part of it, like I said before, was timing. It's just like there's so many people on the market, you want to just leave them unemployed until like you work out a storyline for them. Like, I don't know if that's really the right move either, but yeah, there's a lot of people and a lot of people at a high level, and they're going to need to do something, whether it's another show or putting more emphasis on the YouTube shows or something like giving us like recaps and things during Dynamite and Rampage. But
yeah,
we're running out of, like, there just isn't time to see everybody anymore.
I think these points are going to be made again after the break when we talk about what makes a good Dynamite show. I totally agree, but I hate to refer to Jim Cornette, but he said something on his podcast which I thought really stood out. He was talking about Adam Cole, who he used to be a huge fan of, right? And he's like, since Adam Cole arrived in AEW, he hasn't had a really interesting storyline. He's been sort of like involved with some kind of like weird feud with the Bucks and best friends and whatever. But like last week, he cut a promo. This is Adam Cole. And his promo was like, I'm going to change. I mean business, no fooling around. You're going to see a new version of Adam Cole, blah, 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 blah. He's all fierce. And he's like, I'm going to beat Evil Uno next week on Rampage.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I love Evil Uno. He's fun. He's from Montreal. He's got a great personality. I think he's actually good on the microphone. But Evil Uno is not on the same level as Adam Cole.
No.
And the way he cut that promo, it was like as if Adam Cole was putting himself on the same level as Evil Uno. And that's what I found so weird about it. And that's why I think, like, when it comes to a lot of these wrestlers who are coming over, like,
I think
I feel like we're getting great matches. Don't get me
Mhm,
wrong. Like the Daniel Bryan's and American Dragon matches have been fantastic,
mhm.
but the storylines aren't great, except for, and my next question is, do you agree with me that, and I think I asked this question last week, but I'm going to ask again, that the CM Punk MJF storyline is the best thing AEW has done, period, since the start of Dynamite 2.5 years ago?
I agree. I mean, everything that's been happening, I think that's been the forefront of storyline in AEW. And I think Adam Cole is smart not to mingle too much, just because we are AEW right now is clearly building up Wardlow, and this whole storyline is to get Wardlow over big time. So
Mm-hmm.
I think the guys, because Adam Cole and them, I don't want to go back to, like, I'm just gonna dip back to the last question a bit, but like Adam Cole and the Young Bucks and all of them, they could be involved in a huge storyline, especially with Jay White in the picture. I mean, like, but I think it's smart on them to let the Wardlow push breathe
Mm-hmm.
instead of, like, giving too much of, like, sensory overload for the fans.
Yeah, I said the same thing last week. I do not want Wardlow to turn on MJF anytime
Yeah,
soon.
just
I could wait till fall.
let it breathe. Let it. I mean,
Let
I'm
let
yeah, I'm loving the crap out of it.
let the year end with the belt on Wardlow. He
Mm,
can wait till the end of the year, stretch it out. Like, there's so much you could still do with MJF and CM Punk.
yeah,
And I still think that despite the fact that FTR, for whatever God knows reason, does not get a title championship shot again, I still think they are the best tag team in the world.
hmm
And they proved it once again on Dynamite, because once again, because of FTR, we get an incredible match. And
yeah,
maybe it's just the old school wrestling fan in me, but that's one of the reasons why, and we're going to talk about this after the break. I think that this was one of the best episodes of Dynamite. And a lot of it revolved around CM Punk and the Pinnacle,
yeah.
which, of course, is FTR, MJF, Wardlow, and you know what? Yes, Sean Spears. Okay.
Let's give him his.
He is acting up a storm, being the most obnoxious person ever, and
Hmm
we all know how orgasmic it is going to be when we watch Wardlow give Sean Spears the full Powerbomb Symphony.
hmm
So
And a chair shot.
yeah.
On the chair.
Yeah, it's gonna be a
On the chair.
symphony
Yeah,
on a chair.
yeah.
Yeah. R.I.P. Sean Spears is back.
He's prepared for it.
I still think Sean Spears is doing his job, and he's doing a
Oh,
way
he's
better
He's
job.
doing a
fantastic.
great. Yeah,
No, he is
yeah.
the best obnoxious
Mhm.
heel. Like,
Yeah.
See, here's the thing. He's doing it right. Scorpio Sky, man, that guy needs to get off TV. That guy needs to get off TV. I'm
I
sorry.
think he's just trying to find his footing. Like we were hard
After
on
2.5
we were hard on
years?
Sean Spears too. Remember?
Sean
No,
Spears has
I've always been a
always
fan
been
of Sean Spears.
okay. Yes. Sean Spears has always been okay.
Mm-hmm.
Scorpio Sky has been a complete mess since day one. Like 2.5
Yeah.
years later, get rid of this guy. I'm sorry. I do not like this guy. And I don't feel bad for not liking him after his homophobic remarks, even though that was a few years ago.
Mm.
Whatever. All right, so moving on. So the Inner Circle. Okay, so is it time to officially end this faction? Like, because it's still not over. Like, they're gonna have the wrestling match, but the Inner Circle is still an Inner Circle. Like, Sammy walked away, but he said, like, if you guys can maybe work it out, I might come back. So, like, what do you want to see come out of this current storyline involving the Inner Circle, Proud and Powerful, Jericho, and Jake Hager is back?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
want Proud and Powerful to tell Jericho where to stick it. I want Jericho and Eddie Kingston to have a grudge match.
Mm-hmm.
To put the icing on that, and then Santana and Ortiz become tag team champions. They take it off Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus. This is all like for the year.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying this is happening in the next pay-per-view. And Jericho quietly retires from AEW and goes back to just being a rock star.
Whoa, I disagree with a few things.
I know.
So I disagree with waiting so long to take the belts off of Jurassic Express, because no, that needs to happen. I love Jungle Boy, but they need to lose the belts ASAP, because there's too many great tag teams for a dinosaur to have the belts.
There's only so many pay-per-views. I think you do want to do this a pay-per-view match.
Yep.
And
you
know,
think
maybe Double or Nothing, like summer-ish, but I feel like there's so much drama and tension in this storyline with, like, you know, we went last week where I did not give a shit about the Inner Circle, but now I'm like back in. I'm loving this drama. I really, really, really want to see where it goes, and I feel like they can milk a lot out of this, so I hope they do it right.
I'm not saying Proud and Powerful needs to win the championship. I'm saying Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus need to lose the championship. They can lose to, say, FTR, and then Santana and Ortiz get their shot at a pay-per-view.
I think if you're doing this as, like, you know, given the rub to Jungle Boy, I think they need to hold it for a few months. They're not going to be
I would prefer Jungle Boy wrestle for the TNT championship. He's got his tag team belts
next year, but this is about giving him his shine. I think they need to hold it for a little while, especially with Uncle Chris vouching for them so hard. You know,
Yeah,
he's really putting in the time to advocate for them.
yeah, I'm with Mariko with this one. Give him a couple of months, let him hold it. I mean, we've waited for so long to see like a belt strapped around Jungle Boy, even if it's a tag team title, you know. Just give him his day in the sun with the belt. I mean,
okay, but the question was, Aaron, what do you want to see happen with the Inner Circle storyline?
I mean, Mariko nailed everything that I thought would happen. I mean, like, we've been vouching for so long for Proud and Powerful to, like, I mean, they're like one of the best tag teams coming into AEW. Like, why are we just stuck in that storyline? And it's awesome that they kind of address it with the storyline that's happening with Chris Jericho and Proud and Powerful. Like, let them have their moment. I mean, like, it was a great promo when he's saying, like, maybe it's Jericho that's holding them back, or, you know, Jericho is really just in it for himself. I've been loving every minute of it.
I'm kind of thinking now, like, what is the outcome of all this if they do end up leaving? Does that mean they turn heel? I really don't want that. So I'm kind of thinking maybe this is an opportunity to turn Jericho back to heel.
Yeah.
I think that would be a more fun place for him to be, now that we're kind of splitting up this faction. I mean, Sammy's just doing his own thing.
Yeah.
You know, regardless of what else is going on. And
listen, he's got big things to worry about.
Jericho is already sort of turning heel. Like, it's not.
Yeah.
I mean, the fact that he calls himself the influencer, like, it's the most annoying gimmick you can do in professional wrestling in 2022. Yeah, like, when you think of influencer, it has a very negative sort of, like, I don't know what the word is. It's
a negative association.
Because you think of, like, really shallow, mindless people on social media who do really stupid things for money, but really provides no value to the world. Like, they just, like, take, you know, selfies of themselves. Like, it's just like, Chris Jericho's clearly going to heel. Like, the thing is, I do not want Jericho to leave AEW anytime soon. I think he brings a lot to the company. The thing is it's weird because I feel like a hypocrite, because sometimes I complain that storylines end too quickly. But with the Inner Circle, I felt that they've dragged a lot of their storylines over the years. Yeah.
I think we've...
So, yeah, and like, it was weird because remember with the Chris Jericho versus MJF storyline?
Dude,
it was so strange because... Well, no, but they screwed it up. Like, remember, he was supposed to wrestle 5 matches. They actually said 5 matches.
Yeah.
It ended up being 4, and it was never explained why.
Well, it was 5 laborers, but we assumed the 5th, like, it was Labors and then MJF, and MJF was
Mm.
like, I'm the fifth
no.
Labors. Like, what?
We
Okay.
didn't assume. We didn't assume. That is what they told us from the
Yeah.
beginning, and then they changed it. So it would be the 5 Labors was really 4 Labors. He would win, and then he would get the chance to fight MJF. The point is, it was very weird because of the way they would do things. Like you would have the big blood in the guts match.
Mhm.
And then the feud would continue. Like to me, that was like that should have been the climax. That should have been the end result. That big, huge, gigantic 2-cage cell match,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
Like, why was that at the beginning of the feud? Like little things like that. Like not little things like that. Some like that's an example of how it was just really oddly paced and the story the way it was told.
Yeah.
And so like there's this weird thing with the inner circle. Like I feel like I'm not entirely sure what they have left to offer. And I know Jericho likes to like it's not about gimmicks, it's more about storylines. He likes to continuously innovate and
Mhm.
change and move forward and not live in the past, which is why he's not interested in ever like returning to the Y2K sort of like theme song or entrance or
Mhm.
character. So I think it's the right time for them to move on and split. And I do think it would be interesting for Jericho to turn heel. But the weird thing about Jericho turning heel is the best thing about Jericho right now is when he comes out and everyone sings a song.
They can still do it.
You think if you say heel, like
Yes.
how's that going to work? Like
They can definitely
it's
still do
just
it.
weird.
I think they were doing it even when he was a heel. I'm
Yep.
pretty sure they were doing it when he was still a heel.
Yeah, but then they eventually turned face because
Right. I don't know. You have heels in I feel like AEW is such a special breed where like fans can actually cheer on heels. I mean, you got Britt
Yep.
Baker and fans just absolutely love her. Look
Yeah,
at
I feel
Jade
like getting
Cargill.
too hung up on the heel face thing in
Mhm.
AEW is kind of missing the point sometimes.
so we all want the inner circle to be a thing of the past.
I
I think
think
it's okay.
I think I've been ready for this for a while now.
Yeah.
I mean since the Stadium Stampede, that was the climax of that feud. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was pretty much done after that.
Yeah, especially the last one.
I just feel like Jericho becoming the influencer is no different than what we had with Leo Rush and what we have with Matt Hardy and kind of sort of what
Right.
we have with Jade.
Mm-hmm.
It's like they all have similar storylines where they're all heels and they're all trying to be influencers and it's all about money and
Mhm.
fame.
I don't know. I feel like they're just all very like it's all just variations on the same heel thing as like I like
Mhm.
money, whether it's, Le Champion or the influencers, the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Do you guys agree to some extent that Tony Khan focuses more on acquiring new wrestlers and actual crazy like 1 hour long wrestling matches than actually telling a story that lasts like a few weeks?
I think he's creating very good stories. I mean, I think signing it's just an abundance of riches. I mean, a lot of great talent are being released.
Okay, can you name me 3 great storylines happening within the past like month in AEW?
I mean, you got
There's CM Punk and there's
yes,
MJF.
there's CM Punk
Yeah.
and MJF. You had Adam
There's Santana and Ortiz
Santana Ortiz. I was gonna
With
say
the inner circle.
and the inner
Okay.
circle.
I was gonna say Adam Cole and Orange Cassidy. That was a great.
I don't know if that's a good storyline.
It's
It's
What's
a
the story?
storyline.
It's a
It's a storyline, but it's not a great storyline. What? It's
Well,
just
we
a
got
typical-
Danhausen out of it. How can you not? How can you
Which,
hate
by the
it?
way,
I
way, Danhausen shows up, and where is he? Like,
He's doing pre-shows. He's shaking Mark Henry down for money, and he was on everyone's vlog this week.
Danhausen should be on every main event of Dynamite moving forward. Okay,
Mhm.
Danhausen should open and close every show. Danhausen should come over for dinner. Danhausen should be in the spotlight.
Mhm.
Danhausen is amazing.
I would not disagree with any single thing that you have just said.
All right, a few more questions here. Who do you think's going to win the Face of the Revolution ladder match?
Oh man.
Keith
I mean-
Lee. Ooh, ooh.
I mean,
No way.
I mean, like at this
Keith Lee.
point,
Ooh, ooh.
at
I
this
can't
point-
do it.
yeah, at this
Cut all
point,
that out. That was
we're
embarrassing.
pretty much calling it that it's going to be Keith Lee winning this whole winning.
No, I don't think so because it's a ladder match. It's great. You could have a guy like Keith Lee actually lose. He's not
That
getting
is so
pinned.
true. I forgot.
It's like losing a Royal Rumble. It's technically not a loss.
I forgot about that. I forgot that it's like a 4-way, right?
The Face of the Revolution qualifying match. So
I think
it's for the TNT Championship.
Mhm.
yeah.
Oh no, wait.
Last
Okay,
time it was a battle royale, or is
Yeah,
it something different?
no,
But it's a ladder match though.
yeah, it's a
Yeah.
ladder match with the giant Sonic ring,
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
and then
So it's like a battle royale with the ladder, and then you have to grab
the giant Sonic
the
ring.
ring.
Yeah,
right.
Okay, so
yeah.
how
Like
many people were in that match?
I think it was 4. Last year it was 4. No, it was Lance Archer. It was Cody Rhodes.
wasn't there 6 people?
Scorpio Sky was in it.
Yeah.
I'm trying to
It was
remember.
6 people, yeah.
That was it.
Yeah,
6?
6 people.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's what I'm saying. That's why it's a great way to introduce someone like Keith Lee, put him in a not the main event, but in a big match at a pay-per-view.
Right.
And he can lose because technically he's not getting pinned, so it doesn't count as a
Mhm.
loss in his record.
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense. I
Well,
guess.
they
I
haven't
guess.
announced all of the participants, so it's hard to kind of make a.
Yeah, but I
Mhm.
think
Prediction.
Darby Allin's gonna win.
You think?
Like, because I think they want to have a rematch between Darby Allin and Sammy.
Yeah, but they could. They could still do that and not have it be part of the Face of the Revolution.
That's just my prediction. My prediction is Darby Allin wins the ladder match at the PPV.
Put it on the board.
Put it on the board.
Yeah, put it on the board. I say Keith Lee can win this whole thing. I don't know. Yeah, I'll put.
I
I'll
would
put-
really like to see Keith Lee and Sammy go at it. So
Yeah, I would love to see that.
No, he would hurt Sammy. No, he's big.
Sammy is okay
Scary.
with getting hurt. We've all seen that last ladder match. Holy crap!
yeah, Sammy's made of rubber. He'll be fine.
He would flatten Sammy. Be like shocking. So once again, we had a Texas death match for the main event in an episode of Dynamite.
Mhm.
Has there been too many of these matches in the main event for Dynamite in the past 2.5 years? Like, there's been more of these
I mean,
matches.
it's
than
not
there have
like
been
we
tables breaking.
It's not like we see it every week. When was the last time we saw it? What Texas death match?
I think it was John Moxley versus Lance Archer.
That was at least a year ago.
At least a
Maybe.
year. I mean, we don't see it that often.
We really don't.
Yeah, so I was okay with it.
Yeah,
It
and it's
was-
not like anybody else is doing it on TV. So yeah, I'm fine with it.
The last question for this week's question block. So the ratings came in for Dynamite. It was really, really good. 1,129,000 viewers watching live.
Mhm.
Nice.
That's pretty amazing. It was like 541,000 were between the ages of 18 and 49. So we're inside that bracket.
Mhm.
Way to go. So my question is, and we're going to talk about what we think makes a great episode of Dynamite in our main event. But apparently, some big stuff happened on Rampage, which hasn't aired yet. It airs tomorrow. We're recording on Thursday. Rampage is on Friday. Dynamite was
Right,
yesterday and
right,
Wednesday. Okay. But people that went to the show, they know what happened, and spoilers are everywhere on the internet. So my question is,
It better not be a spoiler, Rick, because I'm not being subjugated to the spoiler.
no. I don't know what happened. I
Okay, good.
refuse to know what happened. But do you think Tony Khan should just take a loss and film Rampage live every Friday, considering he's trying to build his company and maybe he needs to make that investment because it's more exciting and it gives people more reason to tune in? It becomes must-see TV instead of it just being something that's pre-recorded. Because
I don't know.
most of the
Some
time,
people like knowing what's going to happen, and it actually drives up viewership. So we can't.
because the thing is, I don't know if he did this because he knew the word would get out, and maybe people like me wouldn't want to know, so I'm not going to be spoiled, because I'm just going to wait till Friday.
But now
which means I'm going to tune in.
But now you want to tune in because of the buzz on the internet of what might happen tomorrow. So now you're more interested.
It's still not live though.
It's
like, would you watch, Aaron?
Mhm.
Are you going to watch a Super Bowl on Tuesday, or are you going to watch it on Sunday?
No, I'll watch it on Sunday.
Okay, but I want you to watch it on Tuesday. Okay.
Okay, then I won't watch the scores or anything. It'll be like that How I Met Your Mother
There's
episode.
no way. There's no way you're watching the Super Bowl on Tuesday.
I'll be like Ted Mosby in How I Met Your Mother. I'll just wear like blinders and earmuffs.
You're not going to get the halftime show. You're not going to get the commercials. Like, I don't know. I kind of feel like Rampage is such a good show. I love the way it's structured. I've talked about this many times in the past. I love the pacing. I love the fact that it's an hour.
Mhm.
I love even the split screen sequence with Mark Henry doing his whole interview shtick,
Yep.
and him like the segue into it's time for the main event.
Mhm.
I love the way it's just. I love the announcement team. I think technically it's structured and directed better than Dynamite some weeks. Like, it might not be as good as Dynamite.
That is the benefit of working from tape.
Yeah, I think Mariko was right on that one because it's given more time to like.
If you're gonna, praise it for the pacing, that's because they get to make it up in the editing room.
Mhm.
I guess. I don't know.
Rick, just stay off the internet. Okay, that's the closing remark. Stay off the internet.
But it's hard because a few weeks ago, remember, someone spoiled something for me.
So block the person.
I know, but sometimes it's not even people that you follow. It's just shit that lands on your like Twitter feed and stuff. It's hard.
Well, yeah, you're not wrong. I mean, but you can control the algorithm too.
Okay, I'm just going to end by saying, if I had a preference, if I had a magic wand, if I had power, if I can brainwash Tony Khan, I would be like, TK, make Rampage live. End the story. Boom.
But I think I just want to make one last remark. But I think to that argument with separating the show, the problem is you're going to be splitting the roster, right? Because I don't think it's hard logistically to have these wrestlers go place to place for like these two different shows, God forbid.
But everyone says WWE split the roster because there was no longer competition, so they wanted to compete with themselves with Raw versus SmackDown. I've never bought into that. I've always thought that they split the roster for that very reason, because it was an easy way to control where wrestlers travel, who appears when, and also it's a great way to sort of like zone in on storylines.
Yeah.
I think it's a way to go. I think because Rampage is not a YouTube show; it's a legit show that's televised.
But it's an hour. It's an hour program. I'm like, you're gonna have.
But they can give the dark matches, which they already do, to the people that buy tickets for Rampage. So you're gonna get an hour of Elevation, anyways. That's what they do. They just pre-record Elevation with Rampage packaged in.
Yeah, but the wrestlers are getting an hour of TV time. I mean, like, there's so much. There's depending on how you split the wrestlers. I mean, I don't know.
I think that's enough. I mean, like, you could do like Hook and like Adam Cole. You can. I'm not saying like just because Hook appears on Rampage, he can't appear on Dynamite. But I think you could clearly split the storylines for sure.
I mean, it's entirely possible. But again, like, just my argument to it is like, you have an hour of TV time. It's kind of, I don't know. I have trouble seeing how that'll work out, because at least with SmackDown had 2 hours of TV time, so it gave a lot of wrestlers. I mean, it made a lot of sense to split the wrestlers, because a lot of them would get the TV time.
But when they started SmackDown, they still had different shows. Like, they had Sunday Night Heat. You know what I mean? Like it's like they have the opposite problem of Tony Khan. They have a show on Monday which is 3 hours long, which is insane. And then they have their 2 hour long show on Friday. And Friday is not a good day for television, even though they get great ratings. Whereas TK has the 2 hour show, which is perfect, and the 1 hour show, which I think is way better. I just think that the time slot hurts them on Fridays, and also the fact that they're not live. So it's kind of like completely different problems.
Yeah, that's the other thing. If they did go live, they wouldn't have the same time slot. So there's like there's a billion different reasons why things are the way they are right now.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And I still think it would benefit them if they changed their time slot.
Yeah.
I think they need more TV time at this point, but yeah.
Well, okay, so if I can add one more bonus question, would you prefer that they eliminate Elevation, the YouTube show, and just made Rampage 2 hours long? Because it's your choice to tune in for 2 hours. You don't have to.
I'd love for another 2-hour show. I don't think I have a problem with it.
Because when we started, when Rampage started on the podcast, we all said we loved the fact that it was 1 hour.
Yeah.
But now we want 2 hours.
Well, because there's so many more wrestlers. And
exactly. Yes.
Like, how the hell else do you get more than 2 storylines going at a time?
Okay, so would you want 2 more hours on a Friday night or 2 more hours on?
I kind of want like 3 shows, but I guess we're getting that with the YouTube anyways. So I don't know. I don't know what I want.
You see, okay, but I don't watch the YouTube shows anymore. I have to draw the line somewhere. I can't. I personally can't invest that much time to AEW wrestling, plus the podcast, plus the website. Like for me, it's like you know what I mean? Like I just draw the line there. Because I still want to check out some different wrestling promotions from time to time. Yeah. So all right. Well, lots to think about, Mr. Tony Khan. Give me a shout. I need a job. With that is the end of the question block this week.
All right. On that note, we're going to take a quick break. And then when we come back, we will be talking the main event, all about what makes a good episode of Dynamite. But first, a word from our sponsor, Grey Cat Apothecary, maker of organic soaps and skincare. Valentine's Day is coming up. You know what people like? People like smelling good and being clean. Buy them some soap. GreyCatApothecary.com.
It's Wednesday night. Once again, time to ignite the Dynamite. We're here in Atlantic City, New Jersey, and the world is buzzing. We have an amazing night of action planned for all of you. But listen, let's get right into it because there is a lot that we need to talk about. Alex Abrahantes, Dasha Gonzalez, and tonight, Dasha, we've got some major things taking place, including we've got to talk about what happened last week. MJF shocked the world. He defeated the best in the world in Chicago, Illinois. We're going to be hearing from MJF. What do you think MJF's going to say here tonight?
Probably going to be a menace of some sort. He's, cheated very clearly on television twice to defeat Dasha's good friend CM Punk. Yes, that'll do. And he's probably just going to rant and rave about how great he is, as he always does every single week on Dynamite and Rampage and whatever he may do. Probably talk about Wardlow or something. I don't know. You know how he does.
Great observation, Dasha.
It's time for the main event.
And we're back on Talk AEW for the main event. So, what are we talking about this week, Ricky?
What do you think, in your eyes, makes a good episode of Dynamite?
Good wrestling. Cohesive storylines. That's okay with me. I'm not a very demanding person.
I like a mix of promos and wrestling. So we got to have a bit of both. And you can't have too many long promos in a single episode.
Yeah.
So if Cody's on an episode, you don't put MJF and Phil Brooks on that episode, maybe. Just saying.
I think this was one of the best episodes of Dynamite and the best episode in almost a year.
We got 2 women's matches. Granted, one of them was actually, both were squashes. One was a slaughter.
Yeah.
And I'm also really excited about the way that they're pushing Serena Deeb. That just made me super happy.
First of all, we get this incredible old school wrestling match with FTR, CM Punk, and John Moxley. Okay. So in terms of wrestling, we had that great match. I am a fan of the squash match. Like, I like the fact that Wardlow destroyed the Blade, and I love the fact that Jade destroyed her opponent. it's just a great way to showcase a wrestler like Jade, like Wardlow, not take up too much screen time, build up a story, build them up, show them to maybe potential new viewers. You don't use up too much airtime. Okay. So I like that. I'm a huge fan of that. I also love the idea of opening a show with a killer promo. And the best way to do that is to get the best people on the microphone to open up a show. Be it CM Punk, MJF, Eddie Kingston, you name it. So those are the dudes that should open up a show. I'm not a fan of, and you might disagree, of opening a show. The wrestlers are already in the ring, and then you get like a 25-minute match, even if it's an incredible match, even if it's one of the best matches of the year. Just jumping into a wrestling match, like, I'm not a fan of that, because I think the average viewer, I think like you can't have a guy in the ring already, not even show him walk down the entrance, down the stage, down the ramp, with his theme song, his music, and a crowd cheering. What if you're a new viewer and you don't know who that person is, and the show starts and they're in the ring already? I don't like that.
Well, from the TV viewer's perspective, maybe not, but we don't know. Like, maybe the live crowd did get the whole experience. You know?
Well, of course they did, but I mean, the people checking in for the first time. They've done that a few times.
They've done it a few times, but it's not all the time. So I'm willing to forgive anytime
but
they
I'm
use
talking
that.
about like what makes, in my opinion, like the best episodes of Dynamite. And I think if you're gonna start the show, I want to see the whole shebang. I want to see
fireworks
and the entrance music and the crowd and the signs.
I know, I'm crazy. I want to see wrestling.
Yeah, I'm
like, I don't. Like, I like the pomp and circumstance, but if more pomp and circumstance means less wrestling, I say cut to the chase and give me the wrestling. But that's just me. And I understand you feel differently, Ricky. Like, I know we're worlds apart on this one.
Yeah.
No. I need the balance. I need to see, like, I
like like a good pomp and circumstance when, you know, when it's called for. Like, I'm not saying like cut it out of every pay-per-view, but if that's how you start a show with just some good up wrestling, like, that to me sends a big message to the viewer too, where it's like, we're not about faffing around. We're about wrestling.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's exactly one of the reasons why I love AEW, is because AEW highlights the wrestling. The wrestling. You know? I didn't realize how much I love the wrestling until, you know,
you got a product where it was the focus for a change.
Yeah, exactly. That's the focus for a change. It's not the drama in the back. It's not the, you know, the fluff that happens in other promotions. But yeah, I mean, it's just good straight up wrestling. That's what I want to see. That's what to me makes a good AEW show. If is a wrestling entertaining, I'll love it.
Okay, but so we had great wrestling in this.
We've had a lot of great wrestling.
Yeah.
We didn't have like matches like the American Dragon versus Kenny, like, but we had like matches like FTR versus CM Punk versus
exactly, but even
Jon Moxley.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, even like the matches with like lesser stature cards. I mean, they've still put on great wrestling matches. You know.
I also like Mariko said, when you have some killer promos, not too many. I love having at least 2 video packages, which they are now doing.
Yeah.
I think every episode now has at least 2.
I think at least 2 is actually a really good amount.
1 per hour, first hour, second hour. You know? And I like it when we have the backstage shenanigans and interviews, but when it's sort of like what we got with this week where Jay White shows up.
Yeah.
That to me, like, this episode reminded me of the Attitude Era.
Yeah.
Like when the Attitude Era was like at the top of the ratings. Like even like the way Jay White appeared.
Yeah.
Like, you know, the way he walked into the camera and you just see the logo in his jacket and then it's the big reveal. To me, that's straight out of the Attitude Era. Like the camera placement, the stage, the setup, the backstage shenanigans, someone getting beat up, like one guy getting beat up by 3 guys. It was all Attitude Era. I just love that stuff. I personally like it when Tony Khan and AEW sort of imitate the Attitude Era or like old school wrestling.
Yeah.
I'm not the biggest fan when they start imitating WCW Nitro, even though I was a big fan of Nitro back in the days. But there's a lot of times where they try to like repeat history. And I'm just like, I don't really need you to repeat stuff that we've seen in the past.
No, I don't mind seeing like them the way I see it sometimes is not so much like repeating, maybe like just paying homage, sort of like, or a wink and a nudge to like people who would have known like that era of wrestling.
Well, Punk is doing that a lot these
Yeah.
days, and he's doing a great job
Yeah.
doing it.
Because I think I mean like they're fully aware of like who their crowd or who their target audience is. So like that's why like it's cool when they can do that.
Okay, so we disagree about how to open Dynamite, but we so far agree on the balance of promos, video packages, how many video packages per episode,
Mhm.
the wrestling match. The wrestling is very important to us. We need good wrestling matches in every episode. And I think we all agree the fact that it's cool to have a squash match.
Yep. I like a nice balance between technical, indie, goofy, squashes,
I could
Iron Mans.
I could go for one squash match though. I don't know about two.
No, one.
Yeah,
one.
Well,
Okay.
the other thing is, like, what do you like the squash in AEW? I feel like there are levels to it,
Mhm.
and technically, we got like 3 squash matches.
We got 3 this
I
week.
was surprised with the blade because here comes the blade and I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, a good
But I mean,
a good
he was
challenge
more
for Wardlow.
competitive than anyone else has been allowed to be with Wardlow.
Yeah,
in a long time. So
He's also a lot older. He's like in his 40s or something. Wardlow's like 28.
Mhm.
yeah,
He's huge. It makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know if we're going to agree on this, but I think the best episodes of Dynamite have no more than 3 people on the announce team, and I would love to see only 2 people every so often.
I'm okay with 3. I think on Dynamite they do a good job at balancing themselves out.
yeah.
But if they had 2, they could always bring in a guest, like Wardlow. Not Wardlow. MJF goes to the announce booth.
Yeah,
Ricky
maybe.
Starks.
Yeah,
maybe,
and they do that
maybe.
on Dark and Elevation
Mm-hmm.
a lot, actually, and it's been working. It works well.
Because on Elevation, it's the Big Show and Tony.
But I feel the
Yes.
problem.
But with sometimes Mark Henry, sometimes
Mhm.
Ricky Stark, sometimes other people come in. But they've definitely got their banter down, especially when Mark Henry comes in. Like the
Right.
3 of them, the chemistry is like mint. And same thing on Dark. Excalibur and Taz, just they have their thing going. It's so good. Rampage it is a shit show. 4 people, too many.
Mm-hmm.
Especially when at least 2 of them do is yell.
Mm-hmm.
But I think okay, if I can stick with 3, I would choose Taz, Excalibur, JR. I
Really?
think Tony
You don't
should
want
just do
Tony?
the interviews. No, he's
I'm
got
okay.
too much to do.
I'm okay with Tony. Like I said,
You would prefer Tony over Taz?
oh man, I would replace JR with Taz. That's what I would do.
JR,
I love
Taz, Excalibur.
I love JR. Okay, I love him. I love him to death. It's just like he
He doesn't know the names of the wrestlers.
doesn't know. Oh yeah, and he doesn't bring anything interesting at times.
But I think JR, his voice and him,
But
the person, he's money.
But
people know him.
But exactly. But we're defending JR just because of the legacy that he's had. But like currently, he's not really bringing anything except for like
the
memories.
fact that he's JR. Yeah.
The fact that he's JR, because at least like Shivani and Excalibur, like they riff on each other. I mean, there's a good chemistry going on.
Well,
But-
and you get the moves, you get some history
Mhm.
out of Excalibur. Tony sometimes can give us a bit of that. I know Mark Henry's been working
Mhm.
on doing more of that, actually scouting people. And as much as I love JR, like there are definitely nights where I'm like, does he know where he is right now? I know that sounds mean.
I mean,
and
like I said,
ageist, but
yeah. I mean, yeah.
All I'm saying is, if I had to choose, I would have Tony do the interviews in the ring.
mostly he's the one doing that. You
Mhm.
can still do
Yeah,
that.
but you know what I don't like about his interviews? Like he goes into the ring to interview someone, and then he kind of like fades away into the background.
But he's always done it. But that's the thing. He's always done.
That's how
just
the in-ring works.
yeah. That's just how he operated too. Like even in like early WCW and
It
other
is
stuff.
so funny to just.
Yeah.
Someone's got to make a meme out of this. He just fades into the background. You know, like that meme from The Simpsons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
when Homer
Yeah, in the
fades into the
bush.
bush.
Yes,
Mm,
yes, yes.
That is Tony.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's
It's
just
so funny.
it's just that's the thing. That's just the thing he does. So I don't know. So yeah, I mean,
Okay, well, at least we all agree that 4 people is way too
yeah,
much.
4 is way too much. But like, but to backtrack on the whole, like, also, like, I think you mentioned that you would have like 2 commentaries and a special guest. Like, I don't know if I would want to have a special guest on Dynamite.
Not all the
Not
time, sometimes.
Yeah, maybe, but like, on Dynamite especially, I feel like it would take having a special guest on a 2-man commentary team would take
Well,
maybe
I
too
think
much.
those you do on a per match basis, actually, which is usually
Right.
how they end up doing them. Is they'll have like a special person in, like, like, oh, you've got the big pay-per-view match with so and so. You're out here scouting, whatever. Like that can be interesting if it's someone who's good on commentary. I
Yeah.
like that.
Look, I'm just saying that because Rampage is Taz, Excalibur, and sometimes Jericho and Ricky Starks, and
It's too
like
much.
there's like so many people
Yeah,
on that show.
it's too much, And sometimes when they try to riff with each other, it just sounds so like unnatural, or like
Well,
they're
as-
just trying to force it.
Well, also Taz and Jericho have a tendency to make the same jokes, but at different times,
Mm,
and then get into fights about it, which is
mm.
dumb and annoying to me.
I think it was on the last episode of Rampage. I think it was Jericho called Taz someone else. Like he was confused about the person he was sitting next to.
Oh, so
Mm.
yeah.
Taz is like,
I vaguely recall something like that. Yeah.
Taz called him out on it. He was like so pissed off.
Yeah.
But like Jericho is the problem with Jericho is I think I can understand why people don't like him on commentary because
It just yells.
I think
Yeah.
he's funny sometimes, but it's because he's just trying to steal the spotlight.
Yeah.
Mm,
And so by being selfish, by stealing the spotlight, you're actually hurting the show
Yep.
because you're talking over everybody.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's my biggest problem with him is the way that he does talk over people. Yeah, like I said, like he steals jokes. He's so loud you don't hear anyone else.
mhm.
And most of his jokes aren't good.
I also think what makes a great episode and the best episodes of Dynamite is when we have the TNT Championship in focus. I'm not saying we need a match, but at least they talk about it. It's advancing a storyline. We get a match. They give us a video package. The TNT Championship, the TBS Championship, whatever you want to call this belt now,
Mm.
it is the belt for the show. And to me, it needs to sort of. It's like it's great when because like we always say this, the best title is the TNT Championship. It's had the best champions, it's had the best matches, it's had the best rematches, it's had like the best storylines from Cody to Brody Lee to Darby to Sammy to Cody to Sammy. Who do I forget? Miro.
Well,
It's been the best.
it's certainly been the most showcased. Yes. I don't want to take away too much from like what the AEW Championship has. I mean, like there's been some great storylines as well. I mean, albeit it was all from with Kenny Omega at the time.
Yeah, I still think the TNT Championship has been way better than the World Title.
Yeah, but like I said, it's just had more. It certainly had more time in the sun. So,
Mm-hmm.
but we do see the shift in the storyline with Adam Cole holding the AEW Championship. So we'll see how that goes.
Okay, a few more things. I think it's also good when we do get a bit of like replays of what happened last week or in the episode on
Mhm.
YouTube, which nobody watches. Because sometimes like you're like, what is going on? Because they're not explaining the storyline.
Yeah, I feel like they have gotten a lot better with that.
Yeah.
Especially like the whole like Layla Hirsch storyline, like that was all happening on like it started on Dark and Dynamite and then
Mhm.
culminated on Rampage.
By the way, one thing I love about AEW compared to the competition is they don't cut every 2 seconds. Like watching a
Dude.
Royal Rumble.
Oh
I
my
was
goodness.
like,
Yeah.
my head was pounding.
Yeah.
I'm like, the camera cuts every second.
Oh, the only one that's ever been worse is AAA. Like,
really?
I get
I've never
vertigo
noticed.
from the way they cut their
I've
shows.
never
Dude,
noticed.
it's like the
Oh my
switchboard
God.
operators on crack or something,
Yeah.
or on speed and crack. Like they're
Oh
just
my
switching like
God.
nonstop. It's insane.
Well, because like
Yeah.
every time a wrestler throws a punch in WWE, they cut.
Yeah,
And
so
and
that you
especially
can't see them pull
yeah,
it.
and especially like when they do like the punching on top of the turnbuckle when the guy mounts on the dude in the corner,
Yeah.
it's like every hit like 1, 2, and then it's just cut,
It's like
cut,
one
cut,
angle,
cut,
two
cut.
angle, three
Yeah,
angle,
and it's
four
like
angle. Like,
yeah.
oh God.
Oh my god.
It's unbearable.
It
like
is.
like I wanted to turn off the Royal Rumble
Yeah.
at one point in time. It was just unbearable. Yeah. So like, but for the most part, AEW does a great job in producing their shows nowadays. Especially like, I don't know if they have a bigger budget or they're just like spending more money or a better crew. I don't know, but there's been a huge improvement from like the first year.
It must be a bigger budget. I mean, you're also on a I think TBS is a network, not cable. It's that
I don't understand how the US works. I don't even know what TBS is.
well, TBS is just it's a chain, you know, like kind of like Fox. Let's put it that way.
No, but
Yeah.
like when you watch TBS, like we get the commercials where they're like, we're gonna play like all these movies, like it's Black History Month, or it's like
Yeah.
Well,
whatever
that's
month,
that's
right?
definitely like just the American, you know.
Yeah.
But they're playing movies that are like really old. So it's like, is this a station that plays just retro stuff plus wrestling? Like I'm
No,
confused.
no. It's I'm,
Like in Canada, we get this on TSN, which is a sports channel.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's the same channel we watch like football and
Yeah.
basketball. And
No,
hockey.
TBS is like Aaron was saying, it's like a regular network station, like a
Mhm.
a Fox or something.
Yeah.
But it's part of like the Turner Broadcasting family. So kind of
Yeah.
like how Fox is like FX and like a bunch of other like
Mhm.
mini networks. There's like TNT and TBS and Turner Classics and TCM and
A good episode of Dynamite does not include Brandy Rhodes nor Scorpio Sky. A good episode of Dynamite has at least one women's match.
No Dan Lambert.
Whoa, Dan Lambert's okay. It's just like
Not-
he gets one
could be
segment.
good.
One
He gets
segment, exactly.
One segment. He
One
has to pick
segment.
which wrestler he gets to hang out with that day.
Yeah, one segment. I don't
One
need to see
segment
him.
for Dan Lambert.
I don't need to see him representing like 5 wrestlers or something. You know, that's an exaggeration, but we all get the sentiment.
I wish if every episode they had like a spotlight on a wrestler where like JR sits down with someone and or it's a video package. It's like this week we're gonna
They
spotlight
used
Dan
to do that
Housen.
stuff
Who-
on Dark, and it was nice, but
Yeah, like who is Dan Housen?
Well,
and
they-
like you
they-
have like this like 2-minute spotlight thing about him.
They did an Elevation too. Are they still do? I haven't followed Elevation.
yeah,
at all.
that's the thing. I think they should bring it back on like Elevation or Dark
Yeah.
or wherever they were doing it.
Exactly, because like I appreciate an Elevation because you got. I mean, it was that was the intent.
Wait a minute, when's the last time you watched Elevation? I'm talking about Dynamite here.
Yeah. Well, I'm not legally obligated to answer that question, but there was a time where they were elevating the wrestlers on Elevation, which was the intention of that show, which I appreciated.
But listen, it like okay, Elevation is great if you want to watch it, whatever, it's there. And it's great, right? So you have a wrestler like let's say Hook, for example. Let's say Hook
Right.
was like really starting off on Elevation.
Mhm.
So then they bump him up and he moves from Elevation to Rampage.
Mhm.
So then he lands on Rampage and he gets some time to shine. And then he makes his first appearance on Dynamite. So when he makes his first appearance on Dynamite, it's like a wrestler spotlight. So it explains to the people tuning in for the first time and or who only watch Dynamite,
Mhm.
gives a bit of backstory because not everyone's going to want to watch a YouTube channel.
Mhm.
So like little things like that, like educating the viewers in really quick, fun video packages and or interviews with JR. If you want to use JR, he's really good at interviews.
Yeah,
That could help.
it could help,
But apart from that, I do like the fact that they're using more of these video packages to explain or flesh out the stories between these wrestlers.
yeah, I mean that was certainly a point that we've mentioned in the past podcast, like how you have all these promotions and then they do very little to like highlight what happens on these shows. So like
Yeah.
you know, we brought the example of like if someone just watches Dynamite, they would be like confused as hell. But they've certainly done a good job at like.
Well, okay, if they watched this episode of Dynamite, is there anything that they would have been confused about?
Who Jay White is?
I don't think so. Oh yeah, Jay White. But I mean, that does you can't avoid that. That could you can look back at the old days of Nitro and Attitude when there was the Monday Night Raw wars. Like someone shows up on a different programming, you either know or you don't know. Like they're not like that's different.
I feel like maybe Keith Lee for some, maybe. I mean, like for someone who watches like just or maybe like someone who's tuned into WWE. I mean, Raw especially. Like I can't imagine.
That's the thing though. Like how much like.
I think Keith Lee worked though.
I do
enough.
too. That's the thing. Like, how much do we need to explain to people? Because, like, we've already established, the key people who are watching the show every week. Like, I don't know what this casual wrestling viewer thing is, but I mean, it got the ratings it got because everybody and their monkey was expecting Keith Lee.
Yeah. Yeah, you do bring up a good point. I'm just saying, like, maybe like the small percentile, someone who just watches Raw and they're like, "Oh, this."
I mean,
Keith,
to me,
Keith
that's
Lee guy.
what your color commentators are there for. They're there to hype up and explain, this person was with this promotion and he did all this and that.
Yeah, it's like if you watch hockey and there's a rookie and he starts performing well.
Exactly.
Like the commentary team gives a backstory on who this guy is, where he came from, when he was drafted, how many goals and assists he has, etc., etc.
Yeah, that's true.
I
you're
think,
right.
I think. Look, the way Keith Lee came out, the pop he got a huge pop.
Yeah.
I mean, did you see that dude in the crowd? They focused on him because he was like freaking out. Yeah. And then the last thing I'm going to say is, I'm so torn with this. I do not like the split screen picture in picture, and I know some people do. I'm just not a fan of it. Like I just never even watch it. So the thing is, it's either way we're going to get the commercial, so it doesn't really matter if it's picture in picture and or if it goes full screen. So let's say we keep it picture in picture, no problem, right? But I feel like a lot of times they just go to break and the wrestlers in the ring aren't aware that they're on commercial time, and they do like really big spots, but they're not supposed to. It happens a lot.
I don't know. Not as much. Yeah.
No.
Yeah. I'm with Rico. Not as much. I've observed it a few times now this past year, and they do hold back quite a bit a few times, like when they know it's picture in picture.
Yeah,
it's not so blatant as it was back before. I mean, like for me, like the blatant spot was really like the War Games match when like something big happened.
It's because they were climbing the cage and like they came back from commercial break and they're on top of the cage.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like what?
Yeah, that to me was a blatant fuck up. So. But
it's happened a few times, but the one thing that I always agree with, and I don't care if anyone hates me for saying this because Jim Cornette says this all the time, is in AEW way too often wrestlers will take like a huge bump, like they'll get like a finisher or get thrown out of the ring or whatever, and they get up right away. It's like sell the bump. You don't have to get up, jump up right away. Like that's a great opportunity to sell the move, go to commercial break, come back, and then you make your comeback. And in AEW, they're just in such a rush to get to the next. It's like it's so rehearsed that they're afraid that they're going to forget the next step that they right away rush into it. Sammy, as much as I love him, he does it all the time. He gets up too quick. He needs to learn how to sell better. Adam Cole is completely the opposite. He does a great job in selling. That's why I love the CM Punk, John Moxley FTR match, because there was so much of old school wrestling where they actually sell the moves. It actually looks like they're getting hurt and they're exhausted and they're like, whatever, just in trouble or needing a tag. That was a great match. I love that match.
Well, I feel like that's going to be like just a learning process probably for like some of the younger talent. So I will see.
Do you think there was a better episode of Dynamite this year so far?
A better episode.
We had the tease of Jay White. We had the first appearance of Keith Lee, who actually also wrestled the match. Great match against Isiah Kassidy. we had the great tag team match between FTR and Mox and Punk.
Mhm.
We had the great back and forth promo between Punk and MJF. We had the opening with Wardlow, which again advances that
Yeah.
storyline
Yeah.
where they treat him like shit.
Dude, the body language of Wardlow, I mean,
Amazing.
amazing. I love it.
And then we had the main event, which was the Texas Hardcore match for the title, by the way,
Yep.
for the world title,
Mhm.
and we get the Jade showing up with her title. I
Mhm.
thought this was like apart from like the Serena Deeb match. You know, I love Serena Deeb. It just wasn't great, right? But
I mean, it
wasn't Serena Deeb. It was
a-
Deeb and it was a 5-minute rookie challenge, right?
Yeah, and it only took
Yeah.
2 minutes
it
because
was
she made
Serena Deeb and I am something Arquette. I forgot.
Yeah, I forgot her
forget
name. Yeah. I just thought it wasn't like the best episode of Dynamite ever, but it's just like there's something about it, like the way it was packaged and the excitement and the crowd and the special.
I think it was just the excitement of, the surprise of who might show up because, I mean,
I
like
think
the
it certainly helped. Like the
Yeah.
crowd was a lot hotter than they
Mhm.
would have been if there wasn't going to be a debut.
Mhm.
So I think a lot of that energy kind of carried the rest of the episode. But I agree. I thought it was a very, very good episode. And just before Christmas, we've been complaining a lot that Dynamite had kind of been losing the
Yeah.
magic, and I feel like the last few weeks have been a good sort of return to form.
Mhm. Yeah, I agree.
would have still been a lot cooler if Danhausen was there.
He'll get his time in the sun. He'll certainly get his time in the sun. But I was just gonna say, I'm like, as awesome as the fans freaking out about Keith Lee and everything. There's no one that cried in the crowd.
Well, there's one dude who looked like he was about to cry.
I probably missed that one, but yeah, I was just taking my job, the CM Punk fan.
I was hoping he would have thrown Isiah Kassidy into the crowd.
Dude, I don't know if I want him throwing people in the crowd at that height, man.
Yeah.
Holy crap!
Yo, Kassidy did a great job selling.
Oh yeah.
I love Cassidy's high pitched screams now. He's got to do it more.
Holy shit, it's amazing.
I love it. It's so funny.
He does it all the time.
He stopped doing it for a while,
yeah.
But this was like, if ever you're gonna pull it out again, like this was the place to do it.
Well, he did it in his last match, I believe. Like in the same.
Yeah, it comes like for a while. It was like every time he got touched, it was. Which
but
was
now
a
it's
bit much, but now he's saving it for the big moves, and it's okay.
he's saving it for when he's being flung 10 feet into the air.
Exactly. No, but it used to be every fucking chop was like.
No, okay,
It's
yeah.
like that's a bit much.
No, yeah. So definitely save it for when you're getting flung in the air. That's the best.
just yeeting it into
Yeah.
the sun. All right. On that note, I think we're gonna call it a day. But I would like to thank all of you out there in podcast land for listening. Remember, review, comment, subscribe, all the good stuff to push us up those charts. And now I would like to thank, most of all, my co-host, Mr. Aaron Santos.
No problemo housing.
And, of course, the Ravishing Ricky D.
Hey, just a quick reminder, you can find the podcast over at talkaew.net. Follow us on Twitter. It's Talk AEW Podcast. You can listen to the podcast on Spotify, iTunes, YouTube, Amazon, you name it. It's everywhere. TalkAEW.net. Follow us on Twitter. And also, Mariko and I recorded an episode of the Sorted Cinema Podcast in which we reviewed the TV show Heels, which is all about wrestling. So I highly recommend checking out that episode. It's over at sortedcinema.com. Look for the episode in which we discuss Heels. It's an amazing show. If you haven't seen it, it's only 8 episodes. Watch it because we need a second season as soon as possible.
Mm-hmm.
Goodbye.
Who am I? I am Keith Lee. The fire panning into the fire. The best of battle has appeared, and I am Lee. I am Lee. I am Lee. All rise and bask in his glory. My drive is limitless. You won't compare to this. I have been chiseled from granite and given a shot of adrenaline. You are the enemy.